Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Jessica and today I wanted to talk a little bit about anxiety and stress related to the current pandemic. So I don't think that I am alone in feeling really panicked and anxious right now. I think a lot of people are in the same boat, and since we've been in lockdown, every day I seem to go through a whole roller coaster of emotions, from euphoric happiness to sobbing on the floor crying, and I think that there's a lot of people like me out there. I have a history of anxiety and I've suffered from an anxiety disorder since I was a child, but since last summer I'd had that really under control and the best that it had been for years and years. I was feeling really great, and then the coronavirus hit and bam, everything just fell apart and I felt like the world was crashing down around me. I know that when we talk about people suffering with stress and anxiety around the coronavirus, there are people like me who have a history of anxiety, and that anxiety is being worsened by the current situation. But there's also a lot of people who've never suffered with any kind of anxiety like this before, and they don't know how to cope. And if that's you, then I'm just hoping that I can give a couple tips to maybe help alleviate that a bit. I am not a doctor, I am not a trained health professional. This is just a couple things that I have found helpful and techniques that I've sort of collected over the years, so to speak. I think the biggest thing to help alleviate anxiety and make yourself feel a little bit better is just to tell yourself that it's okay. As a nation, as a worldwide community, we're going through an incredibly traumatic event right now, and if you're feeling rubbish, if you're feeling anxious and scared, then that's normal, that's okay, and you don't have to be hard on yourself and beat yourself up for feeling rubbish, because so many of us are. You are not on your own, and your feelings are completely valid. They are completely reasonable for the situation. I don't know about you, but I have found my social media filled with lots of positivity and productivity, and people saying, you know, make the most of lockdown and your time at home, be creative and get projects done that you've been putting off. And that's great. I think it's really good to surround yourself with positivity, but there is the caveat that you cannot compare yourself to those other people. Everybody copes differently, and if you're not being productive, if you're not being creative and positive, that's fine. You can feel like that, and you don't have to compare yourself to others and feel guilty for the fact that you don't seem to be coping as well as another person, because really, we don't know what's going on in other people's heads. That person that's posting lots of positive things might be feeling just as awful as you are. It's just that's their way of coping. So I think it's really important, whilst, you know, surrounding yourself with positivity, that's a good thing, but at the same time not letting that make you feel guilty for the way that you feel, because how you feel is completely valid. And I think that's, for me, one of the biggest parts of easing anxiety is acknowledging it. If you ignore it, if you try to push it down, that distress just worsens and becomes sort of unmanageable. Whereas if you acknowledge it, then you're kind of on an equal playing field with that anxiety. That's how I like to think of it, at least, is I'm not making it into this awful thing that can't be talked about. I'm acknowledging it and I'm accepting it, and that makes it easier to fight. No doubt that you will have heard from many people that breathing exercises and mindfulness are a really great way of dealing with anxiety, and to be honest, the reason that those words are thrown around so much is because they really do work. My personal preference for breathing activities is one where you breathe in for 4, hold for 4, breathe out for 4, and then hold for 4, and you just repeat that over and over until the anxiety passes and you feel a little bit calmer. For me, something simple like that is really my best defense for coping with anxiety. Other things like meditation or prayer can be really helpful if you're struggling to stay grounded. It's really nice to be able to just have some quiet time and reflect and not have to think about the rest of the world and everything that's going on, but instead focus on you and what you're doing right now and how you can feel more calm and grounded. Distraction is another really great way of taking a step back from everything that's causing you anxiety and overwhelming you, and just being in your own little bubble for a bit and enjoying that calm space, which I find really helpful. So I've been trying to limit my news intake. I only allow myself to watch the news at a certain time each day, and apart from that I avoid all news platforms, just because it can become really overwhelming, and it's really refreshing to take a step back from that and not let it overwhelm me. So I have been watching embroidery videos on YouTube, which it turns out are very, very calming and relaxing. I would highly recommend checking out embroidery videos. There's something just really therapeutic about watching someone create something from nothing. Also, it can inspire you to try something new. So I've actually started doing embroidery. I'm not very good, but it's nice to have something to do to take your mind off things. Reading is another really great distraction, and I have also found that throwing a little bit of nostalgia in there as well, back to, you know, happier times, also helps. So I have been reading the illustrated edition of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone because A, it's distraction from everything going on right now, but B, it just makes me think back to reading it as a child and that feeling of being enveloped in this magical world. It's really great for just taking a step back from the anxiety of everything going on right now and just escaping into somewhere else. So if you have anything that you are using as distraction or any techniques to calm anxiety, then please do leave them in comments down below because I would love to try them out. And also I would just like to say, if you are finding the anxiety and stress of everything going on right now really overwhelming, don't hesitate to contact your doctor. They are there to help, and your mental health is just as important as your physical health. So it's really important to reach out and get help if that is what you need. So in conclusion, I just really wanted to let people know that if they are also suffering with really bad anxiety right now, then you're not on your own. I am right here with you, and everything will get better. That's what you've got to remember. It will get better. It's just a matter of time. And if you are suffering with stress or anxiety right now, hopefully a couple of my tips might help. But as I said, please do contact a medical professional if you are really struggling, because they are able to help. Thank you for watching. Please stay safe and look after yourselves, and I will see you next time. Okay, bye.